Hey, you feel that? You are now tuned into You Feel That with Bryce the Third. Feel fam, what's up? And welcome to another episode of You Feel That with Bryce the Third, the show where we aim to turn your I can'ts into I got this by providing you with tools or ways of looking at life that empower you emotionally and mentally, no matter what field you are in. I am, of course, your host, Bryce the Third, and Happy New Year. It is now 2022, and a whole new 365 is upon us, and I think that so much potential lies in that 365. Today, we're going to get sweet and short and sweet with it. I had a message that was on my mind around, so I just got done getting my ass beat by a friend in Jiu Jitsu, and she was talking about how the first 6 to 12 months of training is surviving. Just surviving and being proud of yourself that you survived to make it to the next section of training. And it just drew so many parallels for me in life where we show up and we learn in this season of our lives. We learn what lessons are on the floor for us in this season of our lives. And a lot of times it can feel like we're just surviving. We're just hanging on. We're just hanging on by a thread. But when we get on the other side of that, we learn a little bit more, and we cultivate that much more wisdom by sticking in. And another thing that she shared was that a lot of people give up, and it spoke to me because me and my son were enrolled in Jiu Jitsu for some time. We were in class for maybe like 2 or 3 months, and that was exactly what had happened to us. I mean, it was some other factors that played a role into it, but the biggest thing was, like, this is frustrating. Well, no, that wasn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing was that I couldn't make it there because it was so far from the crib, and, you know, it cost a little bit, and I kind of had to, like, focus my energies when it came to my finances. But these may just all be excuses. The biggest thing might have been the fact that, oh, this is complicated. Like, this is a task to invest my mental in and my spirit in, and maybe I don't have that capacity because, like, I am just surviving every time I come. So the parallels to life are out of this world when we're talking about, you know, this jiu-jitsu. And if you haven't listened to the episode of You Feel That titled The Art of Emotional Jiu-Jitsu, go check that out because I tend to draw comparisons to this sport in life a lot. But in today's context, I'm just speaking on how we show up for life. Sometimes it'll feel like we're just surviving. Sometimes it'll feel like we're just staying alive. But the requirement to learn will allow us to do more than just stay alive is to continue to show up. Continue to show up and be inquisitive. Continue to show up and subscribe to the process of life through the pains, the struggles, the downs, the ups, the frustrations, all of that. Like, all of that is a requirement for the next step. So we can be like those people who, you know what, this is too complicated. We could be like me when it comes to jiu-jitsu and drop out of life and decide not to subscribe to the process of life teaching us what it is that there is to learn. Or we could submit to the process. And so, like, the space in life that I'm in right now is I'm really in a space of doing it ugly. I am really focusing on being an imperfectionist, and we'll touch more of that on for future episodes. But what I've learned is that each step of the way is kind of struggling. Like, each step of the way, like, especially when I'm growing and I'm trying to develop into, and I am developing into something bigger. Like, each step feels like, oh, like, I'm pushing myself, I'm stretching myself, and this is a struggly position to be in, and I'm just surviving. But now I've had so much experiences with just surviving or that emotional toll, that feeling as if you just survived will take on us, that I've learned to kind of reframe it into, oh, this is just the process. Like, this is just the process. I might not never, I won't never say never, but I might not ever feel as if, like, I am super equipped in this moment. Or maybe the day that it click will be the day that it's just the next logical step. Like, because I've put in this work. I look back, look back at these videos on my Facebook where it goes back to 2015. And I was looking at myself and I'm like, oh, he's so cute. And I was listening to what I was talking to. I was very interested in making videos that help to empower you to be autonomous in your life, to search for and reach for your higher purpose, or to discover, if you desire to, what all you are capable of doing. And I was very excited, and I didn't know how to communicate what it was that I was out to do, nor who it was that I was talking to, nor what it is that was important to me. And now I look at now and see how cultivated my communication skills are, and how, I wouldn't say mastery yet, because I feel like there's so much more I want to do with it, and so many more levels I want to take it to. But like it's way better. But it blew me away that it didn't feel like that. I remember when a couple of episodes ago, where I was like, okay, I am my notes, so I'm gonna show up and I'm going to deliver what's on my heart, deliver what's on my mind, and versus like super preparing and just all this stuff that was heavy on me. Like that was scary, and I felt like, oh, I'm gonna show up to this show and I'm not going to be able to give these people what it is that they deserve. Like, they deserve applicable tools. They deserve relatable information. They deserve storytelling. They deserve to be intrigued. They deserve to have the fire within them stoked. Like, I'm not going to be able to do that without all my notes and all the preparation and blah, 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 blah. I was scared. And after looking back at that 2015 video, it's like, wow, like, it's 2022. And I've been at it for this amount of years. From 2015 to 2022, I've been doing this right here. I've been doing this. And each step of the way, it was struggling. But it was part of the process. Like, I had to struggle for that 6 to 12 months, way more than that, way more than that. I had to struggle to get to where it is that I want to go. And now, working at building business and working at putting myself in a position to be able to empower others financially and put people on and hire people and give people the opportunity to invest in themselves. Like, that's going to take some investment too. That's going to take being ugly too. That's going to take like showing up, like, and not throwing in the towel and not dropping out of Jiu Jitsu class. So I just kind of wanted to share that. That was mad important to my heart as a message. And I felt the need to be able to share that with you all today. Like I said, I'm in and out with it today. I've learned that a lot of you have reached out and said, yo, these shorter episodes are really like resonating with my spirit. So, you know, we'll play the length of these episodes, however we play it, but we're going to show up every week. There's no doubt. And I want you to get excited, because next week we have our first interview, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, but you will be happy about this interview. And I got a couple other interviews that are coming up. And so it's 2022. We are going to grow together. We are definitely going to grow together. And with that being said, leave me a Apple rating and review. Like, in the whole thing with Apple rating and reviews, we've talked about this before. Like, if you leave a paragraph in the review, like, people see that and like, oh, this person is invested in listening to this. Or there's people that are really excited about the tools that are laid on the floor, or the antidotes, as if they were speaking specifically about today's episode, that were laid on the floor for them to take and apply to their lives. And, you know, let me go ahead and take a listen to this podcast. So I'm about to really like double down on my efforts to get this podcast out to the people who need it and who want it. And you can help me to do that by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That's more than money. That's more than $1 million. You want to donate $1 million to the effort of emotional and mental empowerment? Do that. Leave me a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Go to subscribe to the YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube. We need you. We need you on the YouTube as well. My book, The Handbook, is dropping January 17th. Yes, I'm so excited. A published author, The Handbook, a pocket guide for creating your desired reality and being a good human while you're at it. You can go pre-order the book right now at bricethethird.com. And it'll be in the show notes down below wherever you're listening to this podcast at. Just click the link, go in there, pre-order the book. First 30 orders come signed, and I gotta look at the orders. I know we're very close. So if you want a signed copy, go in there and grab yours right now. Right now might be the time, because the 17th is around the corner, and if you're not in person at one of these book signings, then you might not get a signed copy, and you might want that, because it's gonna be worth something for you. Share this podcast with 5 people. Share this podcast with 5 people that you think could use this message today. Follow me on social media at Bryce the Third and at You Feel That Podcast. And don't give up. Don't give up. Continue to roll on the mat. Continue to show up to your classes. Continue to show up to practice. Is this an emotional mental wellness podcast, or is this a Jiu Jitsu podcast, Bryce? Yeah. It's the first 6 to 12 months in life. And when I say 6 to 12 months, that's the proverbial 6 to 12 months. There's a prerequisite. There's a prerequisite to any mastery. And you may feel like, oh, I've been doing this for years. But baby, you're just getting started. Keep scratching the surface. You're building greatness. There is nothing in our vortex. There is nothing that we are called to do that won't come true. No, there's no calling that is calling us that if we don't put effort into making it come into fruition, it won't come into fruition. The only way that things won't come into fruition is if we stop, is if we give up. The reason these things have picked up the phone and called us specifically is because we are the people who can hear that call the most and so concise that we can show up for it. But are we going to show up? And by showing up, that means showing up every day through the hard times, through the sad times, through the insecure times, through the anxious times. Show up for yourself. And that's the biggest call to action for the day. I'll catch you all next time on You Feel That with Bryce the Third.